Well, day two, gig 2 of the week out of 5. Tonight is acoustic night with Chasity. I alternate Chasity and Taylor on Wednesday nights at my regular house gig that I've been at for 9 years at Hoppers, it's called, and we'll be there in a little bit. Here's another cool thing I found is this tool bag from Harbor Freight. Really inexpensive, as well as this case. Like this is sort of like a Pelican, but way cheaper at I think 50 bucks, 60 bucks at Harbor Freight. I carry my mixer in there for acoustic, which I'll show you a little later, and all my batteries and tools and all that stuff in there. And then I have the big hard case for my wireless units. Hey, out in the garage, here's kind of like my staging area. My wife hates this clutter, but all of this stuff constantly goes out and in during the week to shows, so I have to have it, where I can see it. Let me say this right now. Acoustic is one of the easier ways to make a living at playing music. Basically, there are a ton of opportunities for acoustic players in our town, and I'm sure all the other towns in the world. A couple person duo or a single, can make as much as any band member makes on a regular band gig, which is much more trouble and much more time. Now, as an electric guitar player and a guy who was influenced, and the whole reason I play is because of an electric guitar player named Eddie Van Halen, I'm not going to quit playing, band gigs because, well, it's not more profitable, right? That's not why I do it, obviously. But, when it comes to making a living, there's a lot of ways to do that, and acoustic is one of them, and one of them that's pretty easy compared to playing in a band. Usually a less time on stage. It's about 3-hour gigs instead of 4-hour gigs, and they can pay just as much or more than an entire day with a band. So something to consider. You love what you love, and if you're going to do what you love, sometimes you're going to not make as much money at it. But so let's check out this load up for acoustic. You'll see what I mean. All right, first let's talk about the speaker stands and my lights. Okay, I have integrated these little lights onto my speaker stand, so they're all one piece basically, or connected together. And when I get there, I just throw the speaker on top and I'm ready to go. The lights are run by an app, and I can run them, doing programs or just, white or whatever I want to do. And that's all in one piece. All right, this is my Headrush FR108 full range speaker. Usually these are used for modelers, but I tried it for my acoustic gigs and was blown away by how great the vocals and acoustic guitar sounded through them. And the amount of comments I get, compliments on these speakers and my sound is amazing. And they're small, light, and they can cover, like sometimes we'll do a brewery with a very deep patio, so I'll put one of these way up high and crank it pretty much right to clipping almost, and then I'll have one side filling us for monitoring, and that works for pretty much every situation. All right, here's another Harbor Freight bag I have that I use for all my power stuff. It has wheels, roll it in, great, for the money. It's really cheap. You can take a beating, and I use it for spares and power. Now, remember, you always need spares, 1 or 2 of everything you possibly have to replace during the show. So that's what goes in this bag. All right, everybody has to have a good fan. Mine's Van Halen, as they call it, because I've Van Halenized it. This particular fan has USB outputs on it, which is great, power outputs. And then on the other side, you have a regular old power output. So it does all of that. Lasco fans, man, we should have an endorsement. I've been using their stuff for a long time, and they're a lifesaver. So get you one at Walmart. You can get the one that's black with a tiltable airflow. That's probably the better one. This one's kind of fixed, but I like the red. All right, go ahead and show you the guitars, I guess. My Breedlove I just got about, 2-3 months ago. This is made out of African mahogany, sometimes known as Carino when you're a Gibson guitar, or any other guitar made out of African mahogany, they call it Carino. And then my Pursuit Breedlove here that I play all the time. I just loved it, and it was secondhand. I got it for like 300 bucks. And this one's like $6. My $300 one just gets compliment after compliment after compliment. and the new one needs some loving. It needs some time out there playing. And right now it serves as my backup. But all right, obviously the cart goes tonight. You'll see how that's used a little later when we load it up to haul this in. The cool thing about the cart is with what I have here, basically the only thing that doesn't go on are these stands, and in fact they can go on and the guitars can actually go on, and I can actually haul everything in the back of this vehicle into the venue in one load because of this cart that expands out. It's amazing. Get yourself a cart. I know they're 200 bucks or whatever, but they're worth it. Let me give you a little tour of my acoustic gear. This is also my Maui 5, my tower PA that's in this. You can see when I open this up what's in here. It's a three-piece array that I use, and I'm going to start using it a lot more. I haven't used it in a while because of what how I prefer these head brush for those particular gigs that we do, but these are great for something like a small room when you don't need any lights. This new mixer I got will just plug straight into it, and it'll be perfect for some of these retirement center things that we're going to be doing next year. That's going to be great. Back in the day, I used to use my Behringer powered head, and I used it along with some passive speakers back here. These passive turbos that I have. That sounded great too. These are fantastic. I got an extra set of our tops for our main PA in here as well. Just always loved turbo, especially the passive stuff before they went to China for their manufacturing. Now this is much better stuff. A drum set that I don't ever use sometimes. Oh yeah, I got a pair of these powered, I think they're 12s, subs that Behringer makes. I've actually used these along with the head brush for full band gig one time. Like a flat mixer like that, and then that was it. And we used electronic kit. It was pretty amazing, actually. You can see us doing more gigs like that at some point. All right, headed to gig number 2 out of 5 for the week tonight at Hoppers. Hoppers is a club that's been in Huntsville, Alabama since the early 80s. And before me, they had a couple of different house musicians that, when they had a band room, they used to have a big band area. It was like an 80s bar, so it was a great place for people to hang out and see bands. And it was that way until maybe 6-7 years ago. And we loved playing there because it was really old school. There wasn't any TV screens. There wasn't any real distractions. It was all about the music. That was why people came there. It was kind of a throwback that hadn't changed. And then corporate got involved and decided that it was better to have a lobby for their guests to appeal to their business class people. And so anyway, I got to stay on, but in an acoustic fashion, which I was already doing that in the older bar. And to be truthful, that place was so big and dark that it didn't really, wasn't a very appealing place for people to come hang out. That's true though. I mean, they were trying to make it a little more appealing to their customers, and they did. When you'll see it tonight, how they changed the bar, made it modern, smaller, but a great place for acoustic for sure. All right, I'm gonna tell some stories in this video. I thought this was a kind of a pertinent story to tell about the Holiday Inn where I'm playing tonight, and kind of a funny story about my parents when I was younger, and they would, get on to me when I was younger and go, you're obsessed with this music thing, and go on and on that I needed to broaden my horizons. And I would be like, I could be doing a lot worse things than playing my guitar, Mom. And she would kind of like, go, oh yeah, like you could be, like your friends are, right? I was like, yeah. So they kind of would go back and forth with me on that. The Holiday Inn. My parents were like, at this point in the 90s, were kind of like really apprehensive because I wasn't going to college and all this. And they were like, we don't want you to end up one day like our friend's son who didn't make it, and he's in a Holiday Inn, like it was some sort of bad thing to have a gig in a Holiday Inn. So anyway, as fate would have it, I ended up in a Holiday Inn with a house gig for the last 9 years. And let me tell you this, anytime you have a paying gig, especially a regular one, with people who care about you and will book you, you are a lucky person to be doing that, period. And we get so many wonderful comments from people from all over the world here at Holiday Inn. And it's like they bring the tour to us. We don't have to go tour to them. They tour to us. And it's a wonderful thing to have people from all over the world come in. We have different crowds every night. Really fun gig and a really good place to, I've got a girl tonight that's coming, Terry Lee, and she's working her way back up. She used to be a singer in a band, but she hasn't had any stage time in like, you know, not a couple decades, but a decade, 15 years, something like that. And I'm putting her back on stage with me, and she's been doing some work with me and working her set list back up, and she's getting back in shape, and this is a good place for her to do that. This one comes in and sits in, and then she gets more stage time to develop her craft. And I've been doing that for 9 years, the whole 9 years I've been there, and developed some really wonderful singers and giving them opportunities to get better by just doing the work, you know. That's what it takes. We're at Hoppers. Holiday Inn. Here's my cart. Check it out. Here's my setup. My little Flow 8. I love this thing. It's awesome. Head brush I was telling you about earlier. Smaller one, green one. And there she is. There's Chasity. Hello to the world.
Trying to get my
14,000.
coffee. So I got energy to kick ass tonight.
You ready? All right, cool.
I wear it down like a leather jacket. When the door wears off, I don't even pack it. If you need me, I'll be where my reputation don't precede me. Well, baby, I'm addicted to goodbye. Another vice, another town where my past can't run me down. Lonely is the night when you find yourself alone. The demons come to life and your mind is not your own. Lonely is the night when there's no one left to call. You feel the time is right, see the writing on the wall, yeah.
All right, I'm almost home from gig 130 for the year. I average about 175, 180, almost 200 gigs, depends on what's going on. My new person that I'm working with tonight, Terry Lee, came in and she did a good job, she always does. And gosh, tonight for me and Chasity, we were in a groove. It was good. You know, I always tell new people, look, it's real simple. You know, learn your material, do gigs, get paid, and go home. That's all there is to it. Make people happy. Really, that's all there is to it. It's not that hard. You know, all that stuff about fame and big tours and whatever, it's really pretty cool, you know, to play a bigger stage, an arena or festival or whatever. Those are fun gigs and they're really exciting. But, you know, these everyday gigs, they can be just as cool and just as rewarding. And you can put in like a night like tonight where you just really are on once again and you go, yeah, that's it. That's why I do this, and that's what I expect of myself. That's what I expect of other people. And the response from the audience is always very clear. When you hit the mark, you know it. You know it, and the audience knows it, and you feel it, and then you know that you did your job. And that's what's important to me. A lot of people come into this and they have their 10 other things that are going on in their life that they don't, you know, that get them unfocused, to get in their way, that a lot of people just have trouble focusing. And they have boyfriends, wives, girlfriends, you know, all of that. And jobs and whatever else gets in the way of them being able to do their best, you know, and I get all that, but that's not why I do it. That's why I'm full-time. That's why I do what I do the way I do it, so that I can get up and give 100% and do you know, consistently the best job I could possibly do. And that's 2 of them this week. And hopefully tomorrow will be great. I'm expecting it to be good. And hopefully the weather will be right because we're outside. And then Friday we're inside, but we're up in Florence, which is a really cool venue, big venue. And then Saturday is our big retro rock revival show. We haven't done one of those since Tux, I think it was, and that's been a month or 2, so pretty excited to do one of those at Vans. And Vans is a big room, so we'll be doing the big rooms on the weekend, and hopefully they'll turn out to be great gigs like tonight and Monday. All right, that's it. I'm done for the night. Gonna get back to the house here in a second. Gonna take a load off and get ready for tomorrow. Rock on.